Would you shut up and just push the button already?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
It's the Wisey Translator on the Wise Guys Sports Show.
I'm forever unclean.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is the Wisey Translator. It is the best segment of the night because it is the last segment of the night. It is that time when James and I give each other names inside and outside of the sports world, and we give to you the first thing that pops into our sleep-addled, caffeine-ridden minds. As per usual, since we have fixed the recording issues we were having, we now have the debut of what I call the funniest 5 minutes of my week. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's Chronicle.
I have to preface this. You have to pay attention to current events. You have to know what's happened in the news in the last 24 hours. You also have to have a bit of knowledge of 80s pop culture trivia because this is going to be a bit of a deep cut. Michael,
not the one I thought you were going with.
Do you know who the line is from?
I know it's hilarious. I'm not putting it. It's not connecting.
I'm trying to find the image, and I will put it up there, assuming it has not refreshed on my feed.
There are two other 80s pop culture ways you could have gone. I don't know if you saw the orange guy watching Fox News the other day, and it's the whole scene from Spaceballs. What are we watching? We're watching now, sir.
Now.
When will it be then? Soon.
Oh, it's still here. Oh, okay, I found it.
Yes. I thought it was going to be either that one or we were going for Weekend at Bernie's.
No, that's actually saved for the other two clowns, that we talked about last week.
Yeah, but last week it would have been bad form to do Weekend at Bernie's. This week's a different animal.
I mean, it still could apply to one of them at this point because we still don't have cardinal proof.
That's true. You said cardinal proof. Look at the hat you're wearing.
Freudian slip. It's a long day. It's hotter than fuck right now.
So, James, since it is incumbent upon me.
And it's still, 4 days later, and I'm still coming down over 10 Ocon.
So Jim, it is incumbent upon me to give you the first name of tonight's translator, and I'm actually going to go with a very current event, and it's something we haven't ever touched on this person. Jim, your first name of tonight's Wisey Translator is Jimmy V Award for Perseverance recipient Jim Abbott.
He kind of changed, baseball back in the mid 90s. He was very successful for a few years there. Naturally, you had to figure with the disability, it was eventually going to catch up to him. It did. But the work, they don't give this award out for just anybody. Dickie V's won this award. Stuart Scott's won this award. This is not something that is passed around very lightly. And I couldn't actually think, unfortunately, sometimes with these awards, it's almost the equivalent of going into like a wrestling Hall of Fame, is that, okay, who haven't we picked yet? Who's up on the docket? Who have we passed over? Jim Abbott deserves this award for all the work that he's done in the years really since his career has ended, and continues to do to this day.
I agree with you. And of course, the couple career highlights, one of the few players to wear maize and blue that I actually respect. But more than that, Jim Abbott had a halfway decent career with the bat. And the pinnacle of his career, of course, throwing the no-hitter against Cleveland when he was with the Yankees in 1993. Either 92 or 93 because it was the old uniforms and the old stadium.
Right.
But Bueckers was on the team, so I can't remember what year Bueckers came up.
That had to have been 93 because Gateway opened in 94 because that was the strike year.
Yeah. So 93, Jim Abbott throws a no-hitter against Cleveland. Listen, man, I saw that he won that, and I was pumped. I was absolutely pumped, so good for him. What do you got for me?
Michael, your name in the Wisey Translator is one I'd kind of given you before in the past, but she made some comments earlier this week that really made people stand up and notice. And then also, she's actually having her, as good as she was last year in her debut, she's doing even better now, and was also the focal point of something that happened in her sport earlier tonight. Your name tonight in the Wisey Translator is Dallas Wings star guard Paige Bueckers.
I'm going to give her this title, and people will look at me funny. Diana Part 2.
I might go.
You think she's backing it up with the play? She is just as strong-willed. She is just as strong-minded. And her legacy will go far beyond the basketball court like Diana Taurasi's did. She is Diana Part 2. And Gino Auriemma knew it because those are the two players that he'd like to smack around and hug at the same time.
Yeah. Am I wrong in saying that if you actually had to pick maybe a starting five for best players in the WNBA, regardless of position, she's already in the photo in her second year?
Agreed. She playing the two.
Yeah. It's Paige was actually picked number 1 overall in the WNBA All-Star draft earlier this afternoon. And then also made some very poignant comments earlier this week where she kind of criticized the WNBA ownership for the fact that there are no black female head coaches.
Oh, she has no fear. I will say this. There are two people who I think would make very good head coaches in the WNBA. One of them has one of the funniest scenes in the All the Smoke podcast history is Cheryl Miller. When they get asked, you got to watch it if you haven't seen it, when they ask her how tight was Reggie when you scored 105. Oh my God. Hilarious. Cheryl Miller. Jim, I think someone should throw a brag of money at Dawn Staley.
Cheryl Miller, I think at her age, I don't think she wants it because she's too good of an announcer. Number 2, she's too much of an ambassador of the game. Dawn sitting on a gold mine right now, it would basically be no different than Coach K or Gino or the late Pat Summitt jumping to the NBA. She would never do it. Because I also have to be honest, Mike, if I'm being dead solid honest, what she kind of pulls and the way that she kind of acts down there in 1A ball, she can't get away with that in the WNBA. She'd get tossed most nights.
No, you're probably right. I'm just saying if you had to pick ones that come to the top of my mind, like Cynthia Cooper tried it, was not very good. Lisa Leslie might be a good coach.
She could. I think
she's got the temperament.
I think she's in that that range. The last According to the ESPN report, there are 7 of the 15 current head coaches in the WNBA are women. The last black woman to hold the head coaching position was Noelle Quinn, who coached Seattle for parts of 5 years, and the team decided not to renew her contract, which was a very, very controversial move last summer because Quinn coached Seattle for 4 full seasons, and then the year before that, when Norm Snyder abruptly resigned 6 games into the season, she took over and got Seattle to 4 playoff appearances in 5 years. She lost to Vegas in the first round 3 of those years. She only went to the second round once, but that was also when the WNBA first 2 rounds were only a 1-game playoff, and then the conference finals and the semis were best of 3. Now that they've actually gone to best of 3 in the first and second round, gone to best of 5, and they're going to go to best of 7 here when the league expands out to 50 games starting next year. People forget, and Bueckers also mentioned it in the ESPN article. Her stepmother is black. Her AAU coach is black. Her high school coach was black. She didn't really have a white coach until she got to Stores. She's got a white coach now. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that the representation isn't where it should be. But I will say this, and I'm going to take a line from the West Wing and give it here. The West Wing, when it came out, it was a liberal TV show, liberal administration. Only 2 people of color in the cast. One of them being John Amos, who played the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and of course, Greg Hill.
I'm going to interrupt for 1 second, Mike. Can you actually repeat that because your volume got very, very low? I couldn't hear that.
Sorry.
There we go.
So I'm going to take a line from the West Wing. It was a liberal administration, not real representation in the cast for that. 2 people of color. John Amos, of course, of Good Times fame, was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs at that point in the show, and then Dule Hill from Psych and other things was the president's personal aide. Leo McGarry's John Spencer's character, Leo McGarry, says, this isn't central casting. We get the right guy for the job and we move on. If that person is right for the job, move on. If the person is not being hired that's right for the job, then we have beef. 100%. So if you find somebody right for the job, give them the job. Give them the job. Don't do it because players are saying it should happen. I know it's probably going to sound a little mean, but get it on the merits, no matter who it is. It's like a blind taste test. You get it. You take the thing you like.
It's kind of
do it the right way.
And I don't want to turn this into that type of argument for the segment of the show that we're in, but you also kind of have to look at your it's a very, very thin line that you're walking now, because you also not only have to look at your fan base, but you also have to look at your talent pool. The majority of WNBA players are black. The majority of NBA players are black, and yet we don't have
same thing in the NFL.
Yeah, and you don't have very many minority coaches in either. In the NHL, you don't have a whole lot of European coaches out there yet. Granted, the U.S. and Canada market take up the majority of the players, but there is a very, very heavy European influence between Finland, Czechia, Sweden, Russia, everyone kind of, coming in with this, and you'd figure you'd have more European style head coaches. I know it might not, they might be trying to instill the game that they play over, in those leagues coming over here, but it's still partial misrepresentation of the product. So it does actually alarm me a little bit more that there's not, that Quinn was the last one. Because also people remember with the Unrivaled series that happens during the WNBA offseason, she coached Bueckers this past season.
I forgot about that. You're right. But Jim, I have a bonus name for you. And it's because it's right up your alley. And you are the hockey guru, as I would like to call you. And we had an alarming, to me anyway, because I'm the nostalgic person of the two of us, move today in the front offices in the NHL. And your name, your bonus name in tonight's Wisey Translator, is now former front office executive for the Detroit Red Wings, Steve Yzerman.
You're absolutely correct, Michael. This came out of nowhere. So after 7 seasons at the helm as the GM in Detroit, where he won multiple cups and was the longest tenured captain in franchise history, Steve Yzerman abruptly stepped down as executive vice president and GM. He's going to remain serving as the organizational advisor to governor, CEO, and CEO of the franchise, Chris Ilitch. But it's very, very strange that this happens this close. Camps open because the NHL camps are going to open in mid-September. So they've got 6 weeks to be able to fill this out. Detroit, when he was there, when he actually was in Tampa, remember, they got to a final. They lost to Chicago in 2015. They were competitive. They were in the playoffs a lot of those years. Everyone thought he was going to come to Detroit. He was going to implement what they called the Yzer plan, and it never worked. They only got close to the playoffs, I want to say 2 out of those 7 years, and were abysmal this year. And not only did they not make the playoffs, for the fact that they sat in the top 5 of the NHL at one point after the All-Star break and finished near the bottom, and now their best player, it already has come to fruition and light that Dylan Larkin wants out. There was no other choice here. I mean, the Red Wings were that close to kind of getting back to the playoffs, and then they got passed over and lapped by Buffalo. And now, really, the Red Wings are going to have to, I mean, first of all, they got to still pay Alex DeBrincat. Then they got to actually figure out the money scenario to be able to sign Dylan Larkin if he wants to stay, or be able to pony up the money and find a trade partner if they want to do a sign and trade. They're a mess.
Jeez. They are a mess.